You may or may not know, this is really a two-part format. The annual meeting and then the Board of Governors meeting immediately following. You are invited to all of it, and I promise it will be relatively quick, especially the second phase. So please hang in, and I promise not to spend too much time getting between you and cocktails. So with that, I would like to call the meeting to order, and I'd like to welcome you here to the 68th annual meeting here in the ballroom. We have about 150 people, which is terrific. As you know, we have some very honored guests who we'll get into a little bit later. Ken Gazzola, one of our board members, will introduce, but we have the WASPs here. And last year we had the Tuskegee Airmen, which was a phenomenal show. And we also are joined by Cliff Robertson. So thank you all for joining us. We certainly appreciate that. Before I go any further, I'd like to take a moment and acknowledge the board and the executive committee. These are a group of people that have worked very, very hard for your club. This isn't an easy task. There is a time commitment, and these people have taken time out of their very, very busy schedules to help the club and move the club forward, because it's really not one person. It's a group doing everything, and this is the group that really moved it forward. So with that, I'd like to take a second and introduce the board members who are here. Is Sue Bear here? I did not. She's on. Oh, Sue, you're hiding. Why don't you stand as I read? Sue runs she's the director of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. So if you have any complaints, she's the one to see. Dave Barger. Dave is here. He's the president and CEO of JetBlue, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about Dave later. Marlon Daly, EVP of Sales of Boeing Company. Jim Parker, FedEx. Tom Fitzsimmons of Gamma. Bill Flynn of Atlas Air. Jeff Folland of United Airlines. Randy Green of Safe Flight. Jim Jacobs of JWJ. Todd Coleman of Pratt & Whitney. Todd. Gary Krauthammer of Krauthammer & Associates. Kevin McAllister, GE. Dave McKay, U.S. Aviation Underwriters, and our incoming president. You'll hear more from Dave later. Zane Rowe from United Airlines. Zane, new board member, welcome. Gary Spulak from Embraer. Gary, thank you. Greg Thomas from Private Air. Greg, thanks for joining us. And Bruce Whitman from Flight Safety. Thank you. And Bob Kraft from Haight Gardner. Bob, thank you. And the Holland Knight. I've known you a long time, Bob. I'm showing my age. Did I miss anybody before we move forward? I just want, please stand and be acknowledged. Thanks for a great year. You guys did a terrific job. In addition, we have a few past presidents here. John Farron, is John, did I see John? John, thank you. Ken Gazzola. Ken, the man who is going to be front and center here soon. Is Joe Leonard here? Joe is not. Dr. J, Julius Maldudas, a past president. I saw you in the back, Julius, so thank you for joining us. And did I see John Slattery? John, thanks for joining us. And again, thank you all for all that you've done. Now, most importantly, there are two people that really carry the day, and quite frankly, I had on speed dial, and they probably are thrilled that I'm no longer going to be pushing that button. You see how happy he is back there? But the two people are Harris Herman, our general manager, and Lee McDougall. We're going to walk through some of the things that we did over the year, but I can tell you, if you ask any of the past presidents, these are the people that really have done the yeoman's work, and thank you for moving the club forward and everything you've done for it. With that, I think I need to do some parliamentary work. Harris, do we have a quorum? We do. Thank you very much. With that, I am going to ask for approval of last year's minutes of March 23rd, 2010. Now, this seems like a legal underwriting notice, but I am required to say that these minutes have not been distributed to the entire membership but copies are available tonight. So I'd like to have a motion to approve these minutes. Do I have a motion? So moved. A second. All in favor? Any opposed? So moved. Terrific. Thank you. That was quick. Before I discuss this year's accomplishments, and I think with the board's help and Harrison Lee, we've had a very interesting year and I hope a fun year for everybody. I'd like to thank, and we're going to show you a little short video of some of the highlights of the year. And if you missed any of these events, hopefully the video will get you interested in coming this year and make a few more of the events, because it was just terrific across the board. But the people that made this happen are Candace Kimmel and Marie Rose at Adams Unlimited. So thank you for putting it together. So with that, let's... Good evening, everyone. 2010 was a record-breaking year. We hosted 9 luncheons. We also held 2 very successful luncheons in Europe. Our annual dinner dance was a sellout with over 1,200 attendees, and we raised over $170,000 for our scholarship fund. We honored the Tuskegee Airmen. Also, we added 20 new corporate members to the club. And finally, we've moved into our new home in the MetLife building. It was an exciting year for the club, but you don't have to take my word for it. Watch the video and see for yourselves.
Tonight, the Wings Club introduces and launches the first Outstanding Aviator Award. It gives me great pleasure tonight to announce that the first recipients of this award are the Tuskegee Airmen.
I now turn the meeting over to you. Jeff Niddle. Great.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm also going to give you a bit of an update on the current situation at Air Jamaica, or at least as much as I can say. Just before I arrived here, I got an email from my chairman saying, have a good time at the Wings Club luncheon today, but don't talk about Air Jamaica.
Great ideas catch on because they're straightforward, great ideas are credible, and they have a story. And I think that's important when we think about ideas that stick. Well, NextGen has those elements.
Welcome to the first visit of the Wings Club to Geneva.
I was speaking to one of our customers a few weeks ago, and he said that he described recession as an opportunity. And it is an opportunity because you start to look at your business differently.
This is inspiring for me, and I suspect that's probably true for just about everyone in the room. It's why we get up every morning, and it's why we do what we do. This is one heck of a place to have a career, and I hope you've enjoyed yours as much as I've enjoyed mine.
I've had a chance to talk to so many friends in the aviation business. I'm so glad you came, and it's just so good to see you. But you know, I'm a car guy now, and I still don't know why the senators and the congressmen were twitchy when I flew in on an airplane. I told them that's why we invented airplanes, long distance travel.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 68th Annual Wings Club Dinner Dance.
I'm Jeff Niddle, president of the Wings Club this year. and I'm honored to be your host this evening. I have the pleasure of honoring Alan McCarter. He is truly the quintessential aviation executive, and maybe the only member of the aviation community to have his own bobblehead.
You know, when I think back, I just can't believe that I've been surrounded all my life with so many interesting people and so many wonderful role models and mentors. And I've had the chance to play on so many really good teams. As all of us know, I think that aviation is in fact the quintessential team sport. And for me, teamwork has always been the central lesson. Teams really were what accomplished goals and did it more effectively, more efficiently than just individuals acting by themselves.
Indeed, the long and fascinating history of this club reminds us of one of the great attractions of aviation and aerospace. While it does sound a little immodest, we do impossible things, or at least what others consider impossible, until we do them.
This is our third year to come talk to you all at Christmas time. And I agree with Jeff's point that at Southwest we do feel like we've taken, since the beginning and confirmed again here with you all today, the road less traveled.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a great honor for me to be here today, and I would like to thank the club for inviting me to address you this afternoon. As Jeff has said, it's a historic day in that about 90 minutes ago, shares in British Airways stopped trading.
I must say it's a very real pleasure to be in New York again and to be invited to address this distinguished club in such a wonderful place as well. I've got to say that coming from Hong Kong to New York for lunch is quite something. I haven't done that before, but it's been a very good lunch, so that's been great.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Greg Thomas, and I am the president of the Wings Club Europe. Please put your hands together to welcome Tony Davis.
When I first received this invitation to address the Wings Club, it was with a certain amount of trepidation. I was lucky enough to be here a couple of years ago to see Alan Joyce address the club. And I must admit, my first thought was, they do know I'm not Irish.
This is a really exciting day for the Wings Club, once again establishing a permanent space in Midtown Manhattan. By the way, this is a great opportunity to say thank you to U.S. Aviation underwriters, Dave McKay and team. For close to a decade, really, the Wings Club was housed in the southern tip of Manhattan. Stop on by. I think it's just a great facility. The legacy, the history, the artwork, I'm really excited about it. I think you'll be too.
Candace, well done. It was a great video. At this point, I have to present the annual report of the club. So the chairs of the committees of the board have prepared annual reports on their activities and their results. I have reviewed these and approved these. I now present these reports to you collectively, and they are in the back for your review. And Harris will ensure that they get distributed to the rest of the membership. Now, with that, I'd like to take a few minutes and talk about the year, aside from the video, and the video encompassed a lot. But as I talked about before, there were a number of people who made this work. We talked about Harris and Lee, but if you look as an example at the new club quarters, which please take a minute if you get a chance and stop in. There is a place for computers. There's a place to look at artwork. there's a conference area. It is just phenomenal. We held a strategic planning meeting there. It's easy to put 20 people around the board, so I would recommend you do that. But I just want to be clear, it wouldn't have been done without the JetBlue team. JetBlue really stepped up. This was a more difficult task than I had envisioned. For a lot of us, you just get your facilities teams to do things when you want a project like this to go. Well, the Wings Club doesn't have a facilities team. What we do have is JetBlue. And you know, I just wanted to thank Dave personally, Brian Baldwin, who has just been phenomenal. Whatever we've needed, he's stepped up, including launching a new social networking project, and I'm appreciative of that. And also Rob Bertelsmann, who is going through all the contracts to make sure that we are protected. So thank you very much for all the effort you put into this. And please take a minute, and I think you will really enjoy your time over there, and if you go once, you will go again, I am sure. One of the initiatives that we've got going is called MAC, Making Aviation Cool. And I announced it last year at this podium. And we're working towards that. Dave McKay has been kind enough to carry it forward. But what we're trying to do simply is this. The Wings Club has a big voice. It's a wonderful club. It's one of the premier clubs in aviation, if not the premier club. And we need to help young people join this industry. So the idea of MAC is to show young people how interesting aviation is, draw them in. We have some ideas. There's been a group that have put some terrific ideas together. One of the guys from Pratt & Whitney has spent an enormous amount of time on it. And we think the next step on this could be very, very interesting. And we're working with our scholarship fund to move this forward. So, Dave, I will hand that off to you, and I look forward to the results there. We did talk about the dinner dance. It was a sellout, but it was a sellout not only because the members showed up, but we had a wonderful honoree. Alan McCarter, for lack of a better term, is the real deal. There's not many people that can say they were in the military, flew with the Thunderbirds. They were FAA administrator, helped with a cargo airline, little cargo airline known as FedEx, Jim, right? Started up a passenger airline and is now chairman of Airbus North Americas. So we were really lucky and honored to have Alan, and we had a phenomenal dinner dance, which resulted in us raising $170,000 for the scholarship fund, which will allow us to fund a number of scholarships going forward for young people. And I think that's really, really important. So thank you all for your contributions to that, because that's what makes it work. So thank you. You know, one of the highlights up there is that we added 20 new corporate members. And that, it doesn't sound like much, but when you add it up, what is it, five people per corporate member? And it's the best names in aviation. It is some of the biggest and best corporations. And that was done under Kevin McAllister's leadership with his group. So thank you, Kevin. And also, you saw a number of the speakers up there. The speakers this year were just phenomenal. Who would have thought that we would have had Alan Mulally, who has now moved on to superstardom at Ford, or Willie Walsh and Jim Guyette. And really, that was a function of the program committee, which is really one person, quite frankly. And Marlon Daly was the guy who made it happen. And Marlon, thank you. It was just great, great effort. So I just wanted to comment. It was a terrific honor to be the president of the board. This is a wonderful club. The history is just amazing. And to have the opportunity to be involved with such a great group of people is truly humbling. So I want to thank you for that opportunity and let you know how much I appreciate it. So thank you very much. We have some new members joining the board, so I'd like Dave McKay to join me up here if I could, and he's going to announce the various terms of new board members as part of the process. So,
Thank you, Jeff. Jeff, I'd like to nominate the following candidates for a 3-year term. Bill Flynn, Atlas Air. Jeff Foland, United Airlines. Randall Green, Safe Flight Instruments. Robert Isom, U.S. Airways. Jim Jacobs, JWJ LLC. Mary Ellen Jones, The Engine Alliance. Jeff Niddle, CIT Transportation Finance. What do you think?
I'm good with that.
Gary Krauthammer, Krauthammer and Associates. Kevin McAllister, GE Engines, Aviation rather. John Ronzavallon, Dassault Falcon Jet. David Storch, AAR Corporation. I'd also like to nominate the following for 2-year terms. Jim Albaugh, Boeing Commercial Airplanes. Jim Parker, FedEx. Jack Pelton, Cessna Aircraft Company. And the following for a 1-year term. Marshall Larson, Goodrich Corporation, and Zane Rowe, United Airlines.
Thank you, Dave. Do we have a motion for the acceptance of the new board? A second? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you very much. Well done, and welcome aboard. Now, this is a great time. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Golden Eagles, but for a number of years now, we have had an award called the Golden Eagles. And it is really a prestigious award, and it's made up of people who have been in the club and their age for a total of 120 years. So the combination of the two adds up to 120 years, except for women, because we were in the dark ages for a while. And after we came out in 1970 of the dark ages, we let women in the club. And then once that occurred, so we have to give them a benefit. So that's, instead of 120 years, it's 95 years. So with that, I would like to announce the new Golden Eagles this year. And we have a few with us who I'm going to ask to come up. But David Bluth, he was elected in 1973 to the club. Alan Boyd, 1965. Fred Einsler, 1972. Bob Gladwell, and I think I saw Bob here before, 1969. Jim Hurley, 1979. Dan Morton, 1969. And Kitty Hurley Purcell, 1976. And Harry Schmidt was elected to the club in 1966. So this is a wonderful group, and we appreciate your membership and during this long term. Now, I'd like to ask 2 of the people who I think are here, Bob Gladwell and Jim Hurley. Or I think you're both here. Why don't you come up and join me if you can. He obviously doesn't like pictures with name tags. Congratulations. Please join us. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Before you go, thank you. Obviously, you both joined when you were 15.
Absolutely. Thank you. I might say that my original certificate, which I still have, is signed by Dixon Spees.
Wow.
1969.
That's terrific. Dix was a terrific aviation figure for many years.
Thank you.
He was terrific. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Now, at this point, I'd like to introduce Ken Gazzola, chairman of our Historical and Education Committee of the board. And he will introduce you to the Outstanding Aviator Award winner this year. So please, Ken, come up and...
Let me button up here, get my glasses on, and I'll be ready. I will do my best for you particularly. Never stop giving orders, hey? You're stealing all my lines tonight. I don't know. This award has taken on a life of its own, actually, and it's become quite an honor for the Wings Club at a time when we've had so many honors over the years. And last year, we launched the award with the presentation to the Tuskegee Airmen, a personal thrill for me because I had never met them. I'm sure many of you felt the same. And tonight, I think, is Pat Terrelong here? Pat, would you stand up, please? Pat, I want to welcome back Pat Terrelong, whose father was an original Tuskegee Airman, and she's president of the chapter. Thanks for coming, Pat, and we'd like you to get together with the group afterward, if you would, please. Tonight, we're pleased to present the second annual, and 10 years from now, we'll be presenting the 12th annual. Okay, the second annual Wings Club and Iowa Outstanding Aviator Award. And we created this award, just so you'll know, to recognize individuals whose actions have resulted in major contributions to aviation. And in tonight's case, to our country and to our allies in World War II, at a time when perhaps no one knew women could fly. And boy, have you flown since. And women, people who have served as role models for all of us, as this group clearly is tonight. We're fortunate to partner with the Iowa organization for this award. That's the International Aviation Women's Association, if you're not aware of it. And how appropriate tonight, since you are presenting to women. And as Jeff said, that we need more women in this organization. So if you want to join tonight, we'll welcome you. Okay. We might even give you a special rate, ladies. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce who are joining me tonight to present this award. Sue Bear. Sue, would you come on up? Milan Skolnick and Ellen Slow from the International Aviation Women's Association. And I'd also like to ask Cliff to join us up here. Can you make it up here, pal? Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't met him, Cliff Robertson. Now it gives me great pleasure, enormous pleasure, to introduce the recipients of the Outstanding Aviator Award, the Women Air Force Service Pilots, known to the world as the Elite WASP Group, or as their history booklet that I've been subscribing to of late calls them, the pistol-packing mamas. And that's their own identification of themselves, and I want to say that they're still hot babes. Truly, and if you haven't talked to them, I encourage you to talk to them before the night is over. Okay, and they have also a rather poignant name, which maybe you're not aware of, and it's called the Forgotten Air Force. And these are the women who proved that men, back when it wasn't believed, that women could fly as well as men. And Lord knows, I think we're talking to an American Airlines pilot here tonight, a lady pilot, that they certainly opened the floodgates for women in aviation and certainly in the front of the airplane. And I think we all owe you a tribute for that. It's also our special appreciation to JetBlue for tonight because they volunteered at a time when we needed help to provide transportation for the WASP group that needed transportation. And as Jeff already said, they help us an awful lot, but Dave Barger, you always step up to the plate when it's needed, and I've never seen a more socially inclined airline than JetBlue. Thank you. Okay, before asking Mylene Skolnick of Iowa to present the award, please watch this spectacular video to see the amazing achievements of these women at a time when no one believed it would be done.
any bonds today. Any bonds today.
Over 50 years ago, at a time when America was desperate for gasoline, money for war bonds, and a few good men, something extraordinary happened. Young women pilots from all over the United States quit their jobs and left the safety of their homes and families to come to Texas. Some came by car, some by bus, others hitched or rode the train. A few even came by plane. But they all paid their own way, and they came to Texas because their country needed them. They came to Texas because they loved to fly. It all began in 1942 when there was a severe shortage of male pilots. Jacqueline Cochran, America's foremost woman pilot, convinced General Hap Arnold, Chief of the Army Air Forces, that she could bring together a corps of seasoned women pilots and train them the Army way, so they could replace the male pilots being sent overseas. When they heard the call, 25,000 young women from all over America volunteered. But the requirements for acceptance for women were tougher than for men, so only 1,830 of the 25,000 were eventually accepted for training. The first class of 29 young women began their training under extremely adverse conditions at the municipal airport in Houston, Texas. They flew dilapidated civilian aircraft that had been taken over by the Army until military trainers were made available. 3 months later, at Avenger Field near Sweetwater, Texas, the United States Army transformed a base that was being used to train male cadets into the first and only military flying school for women in the United States. When each class of trainees arrived at Avenger Field, they were given no special treatment. They lived in barracks, 6 cots to a room, ate in a mess hall, followed a strict set of regulations, and marched. They marched everywhere. They marched to the barracks, they marched to the mess hall, they marched to their classes, and they even marched to the flight line. Their training program was exactly the same one as the male cadets were going through all over the country. Ground school, flight school, cross-country flying, night flying, instrument flying, link trainer flying, and daily calisthenics. At the end of each phase of flight training, they were given Army check rides by Army Air Force officers in good weather or bad weather, dust storms or snow up to the propellers. Those who didn't pass washed out, packed their bags, and paid their way back home. Of the original 1,830 young women who entered flight training, only 1,073 graduated. They were honored with a dress parade at a graduation ceremony where they received their WASP wings and their Army orders and officially became Women Air Force Service Pilots, the first women in the history of America to fly military aircraft. Their Army orders directed them to report to bases all over the country. To the Air Transport Command, the Air Training Command, the 1st, 2nd, and 4th Air Force, the Proving Ground Command, the Weather Wing, the Air Technical Service Command, and the Troop Carrier Command. They wore official uniforms, lived in officers' quarters, and took their orders from Air Force commanders. They flew every type of aircraft the Air Force owned, trainers, fighters, bombers, in all kinds of weather and under all kinds of adverse conditions. They were flight instructors, and they were test pilots for new planes, old planes, rebuilt planes, and some planes that male pilots refused to fly. They flew every type of mission the Air Force had except combat. They ferried personnel, hauled cargo, delivered aircraft from factories to bases and factory points of embarkation, and towed targets for ground-to-air anti-aircraft gunnery practice, and towed targets for air-to-air gunnery practice, always aware that the gunnery trainees were using live ammunition. In less than 2 years, the women Air Force service pilots flew more than 60 million miles for their country. 38 of these brave young women made the supreme sacrifice. They too went home, but with no help from the country they'd given their lives for. Unlike the male pilots, WASP families or friends had to pay for their final trip home. On December the 7th, 1944, 3 years after Pearl Harbor, General Arnold, the commanding general of the Air Force, was the keynote speaker at the graduation ceremonies for the last class of WASP. General Arnold said, "You and more than 900 of your sisters have shown that you can fly wingtip to wingtip with your brothers. If ever there was any doubt in anyone's mind that women can become skillful pilots, the WASP have dispelled that doubt. I want to stress how valuable I believe the whole WASP program has been for the country. We know that you can handle our latest fighters, our heaviest bombers. We know that you're capable of ferrying, target towing, flying training, test flying, and the countless other activities which you've proved you can do. So, on this last graduation day, I salute you and all WASP. We of the Army Air Force are proud of you. We will never forget our debt to you.
And ladies, as proof of what I said earlier, I believe United Airlines has 600 women captains right now. So cheers to the ladies of the aviation world. Here, here. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Milan Skolnick to present the award. Milan?
Thank you very much. On behalf of Iowa, I would like to thank the Wings Club for creating this award and for making Iowa its partner. It's been a privilege to work with you. And as it was our turn to select the recipient, we were really, really happy to find the WASP and to be able to honor them. I would like to thank you for joining us. Several of them were trying to come, but they couldn't. Obviously, it was difficult for them. But we have 6 of you tonight, and thank you, Dawn Seymour, Millicent Young, Jan Goodrum, Jean McCreary, Marty Weil, and Catherine Willinger to come and join us tonight. We want to honor you for your courage and for inspiring us, women as well, of course, and for being so strong during those difficult times. Before I call Dawn Seymour to say a few words, and excuse my terrible accent, I have just a very short note from some of your colleagues, the WASP, who couldn't come, and who wanted to say, we think so often of all the many things we did together to boost our morale, lift our spirits, and support each other during that time of intensive training. We sung as we marched to and from flight line, ground school, mess hall, wherever we were going, we sung. And in our hearts, we will always have that spiritual bond that binds us together in the unique group we are, the WASP. Thank you. I would like to introduce Dawn Seymour, who will receive the award on behalf of the WASP.
What a fun night. Isn't this wonderful? I'm honored to represent my sisters in the WASP. And this organization has been in my mind since 1942 when you started. I was living in Poughkeepsie, New York, believe it or not. And I thought, what a wonderful thing. And when I read your history and found that General Hap Arnold was one of your original honorary trustees, I thought, I'm going to get to this by George, I'll eat my Wheaties. We thank you both, the Wings Clubs and AWA, and I would like to introduce my guests, my WASP.
Hey, hey.
I'm going to ask you to say your name and where you come from.
I'm Marty Weil. I'm the historian of the WASP, and I am from Fort Wayne, Indiana. A real Hoosier. I was born there, and I still live there.
What primary aircraft did you ferry?
My favorite aircraft was, I was in all trainers because I was in the very last class. They closed the program 10 days after we graduated, so we didn't get to use our training, but actually the AT-6 was a wonderful airplane to fly, and I still love to fly. Thank you. I don't anymore.
Each of you say that aircraft.
My name is Jan Goodrum. I live in Portland, Oregon, and I'm the last president of the WASP. Thank you, it was my pleasure. The last plane I flew was a B-25. Prior to that time, I did production line maintenance in Arizona, which meant I tested all the aircraft before the cadets could fly it. And it was interesting.
My name is Millicent Amanda Peterson Young, and I grew up in Chapel, Nebraska. Right now I live in Colorado Springs, Colorado. My name is Catherine Willinger. I was born in New York, just a few blocks from here. And yeah, this is very convenient.
Where did you get your pilot's license and what was your favorite airplane?
Yeah, my pilot's license was at Stormville, which is a small town outside of Manhattan, outside of New York. And yeah, I went there every weekend in order to fly. I worked during the week so that I could pay for my flying lessons. And when I got my license, at one of the sessions when I was at the airport, some lady came over and said, "Would you like to fly for the country?" And I said, "Sure, why not?" And so I did.
Beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm Jean McCreary. I was still around when the Wright brothers were alive. No kidding. I'm from Troy, Ohio, home of Waco, if you know what a Waco is. It was a wonderful time. I was extremely fortunate to belong to this group. But we had lives after the WASP. I have raised 10 wonderful children.
Say something?
No. Would you thank JetBlue?
I will,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Yes. We'd like to thank JetBlue for flying us here, and I must tell you about my landing yesterday in the JetBlue. I'm telling you, we call people hot pilots, you know. Now I suppose they call them cool pilots. But anyway, he just came in, and he was at full speed, and he came in, and all of a sudden he was on the ground, and I thought to myself, how can this man be so fast coming in this big airliner? And it was great. He was a young pilot. No women on board, though, no women pilot. I always look. But we've got lots of stories, and we have lots of history, and we've been trying to help our women pilots for years and years, and they're doing such a good job. They are doing such a good job, not only in commercial aviation, but in the FedEx, wonderful pilots, Walmart, wonderful pilots. We go around and we encourage them, and we hug each other, and the military women pilots are superb, well-trained, and all we've ever asked is to fly wingtip to wingtip with you guys. And I'm so pleased that you are accepting women as members, and of course you have units all over the country, and they are very welcoming to girls. And we're trying to keep the gals in high school studying math and science and communication skills so they're able to join the group. We thank you, and our motto in Sweetwater was, we live in the wind and the sand, and our eyes are on the stars. So thank you very much. It's beautiful.
Let's make sure it's correct.
It's just lovely. You get it this way? It's just lovely. that lovely? Oh, we thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'll get that done.
All right, good.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Really great. Great.
Everybody else. Yeah, you go next.
All right, the pistol packing gang. Let's go.
Thank you. That was, excuse me for a second. That was just terrific. And Ken, I want to thank you because this is the second group of firsts that you brought us, right? Tuskegee Airmen and the WASPs are the first, and there's, you know, second doesn't count, and it's not often that you get to meet the first of anything, and you're just terrific. So thank you for taking the time to honor us with your presence. Now, I'd like to move on to a couple more parliamentary things, and then talk about some things that are coming up. First, do we have any old business to discuss? I don't have anything, so we can move right past that. But I'm required to say that. I'm just or any new business, so we'll skip over that unless someone wants to bring something up. You just saw our Distinguished Aviator Award. We've talked earlier about the Distinguished Achievement Award. We spend an enormous amount of time trying to select the right person to win that award. And this year was no different, and I think we've come up with a terrific honoree. We want to be a broad aviation club, cover all aspects, whether it be commercial aviation, corporate aviation, and the defense and military business. And in that regard, the honoree for this year will be Norm Augustine, the retired chairman of Lockheed Martin. So I'd look. He's a great choice, and I think we're going to be thrilled on October 21st. So for those of you who want to mark your calendars, it will be October 21st. And Harris, our new Salesman of the Year, already tells me that we have 650 people attending already. So it will, in all likelihood, be a sellout, so I would suggest you book early. And Dave will be out there making sure that everybody gets a seat and everything's organized. So under his leadership, I'm sure it'll sell out. Couple other points to make. We have a new membership directory, and as members of the WASPs, you're entitled to that. But it is terrific. Please look at that. As members of the club, it is a great resource. So please take the time to look at that. Well, I'd like to invite everyone. As I said, this is a two-part meeting. I promise the second piece will be very quick, but I'd like to adjourn this meeting and then move on to the board meeting. So with that, this meeting is adjourned. And I'd like to ask Dave McKay to come up and present the slate of officers for this coming year.
Thank you, Jeff. I'd like to nominate, this one's a little tough, but the President, David McKay.
Great guy.
Thank you. Vice President, President-elect Bruce Whitman. Vice President, Kevin McAllister. Secretary, John Pluger. Treasurer, John Pluger. And Counsel, Bob Kraft.
All right. Thank you, Dave. Can I have a motion for these candidates as presented? So moved. A second? All in favor? Any opposed? So moved. It's now my pleasure to invite Dave back up here. We're just checking to see if you're in shape here, Dave, to join me at the podium. And I'd like to present you with the gavel as the new leader of the Wings Club. It's a tradition, and I'd like to take a moment to do that. So you'll be using this a lot in the future, so to keep this group in order. So
thank you, Jeff. I really appreciate
congratulations.
it. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
For those of you who don't know Dave, he is the quintessential aviation professional. He went to Embry-Riddle, which I also attended, so I'm certainly proud of that. His military background, and now he is the president of U.S. Aviation Underwriters. Still flies a Mooney, I believe.
That's right.
And when you think about aviation, you think about Dave. And I think he's the perfect president of this club, and I'm just thrilled that he can lead us this coming year. So, Dave, please, thank you very much, and please take the podium.
Thank you very much, Jeff. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before I take a few moments to express my thanks and appreciation for this very high honor and the trust you've given me tonight, I'd like to, on behalf of the board and membership, recognize and thank Jeff for his leadership over these past 12 months. You will read in the annual report that Jeff referenced and just distributed, sorry about that, a remarkable list of accomplishments during Jeff's term. Our monthly speaker roster was unparalleled, and the last 5 luncheons were a sellout. The annual dinner set new standards for both attendance and revenues, and our financial position as a result remains exceptionally strong. But beyond those accomplishments, there were 2 others of special note where Jeff provided exceptional vision and leadership. The first was a well-considered expansion of your board. Our board is now, thanks to Jeff, much more reflective of a broader cross-section of the aviation aerospace industry, an action which can only serve to make us stronger and more appealing to a broadening membership. The second is an initiative he coined MAC, or Make Aviation Cool, which Jeff talked about. It is intended to ignite the same passion for aviation in our youth that likely something did in all of us, through an innovative academic challenge. I'm proud that the Wings Club, through Jeff's leadership, has engaged as an industry voice on this subject so critical to all our futures. Jeff, as an expression of thanks and appreciation for your committed service to the club during your year as president, we have a plaque for you. And the plaque reads, presented to Jeff Niddle in grateful appreciation for your dedicated service as president, 2010-2011, the Wings Club, New York City, March 30, 2011.
Dave,
Jeff, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor. It really is a great honor. Thank you.
Thank you. And, well, I'm going to get to that. Thank you, Ken. I'm still taking orders. As is Wings Club tradition, there's a Wings Club rocking chair that's making its way to your home. If you ever get a chance to sit in it, because you're a AAA type personality, I hope you'll reflect fondly on your time as our president.
I certainly will. It's been a wonderful time, and thank you for the rocking chair. I'll have a lot of
Jeff, thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I can't tell you how honored I am to be elected as the Wings Club's 69th president. Thank you so much for your trust and confidence, and I'm excited about the year ahead, and particularly excited to get started. But before talking about plans for the coming year, I'd like to recognize and congratulate our newly elected officers and board members. I would also like to again recognize our very special guests, our outstanding aviators, the United States Women's Air Force service pilots, and the members joining us tonight. Ladies, number one, you're a tough act to follow. And secondly, it's very clear that you were outstanding in the 1940s and you are still red hot in the 2010s. Next, I'd like to recognize one of America's foremost dramatic actors, longtime aviator and former honorary chairman of the EAA Young Eagles program, Mr. Cliff Robertson. And lastly, I'm going to embarrass a very close friend of mine who flew all the way here from Anchorage, Alaska to be with me, an old flying buddy from the military, General James Robinson. If you would like to know something about flying in Alaska, General Robinson's the guy to ask. Well, it seems as though every past president has come into his term with a three-point agenda. I didn't purposefully try to match that precedent, but as luck would have it, there are three things I'd like to see us do in 2011 and 2012. Firstly, we continue to be great beneficiaries of Harris Herman's intelligent and hard work on our behalf as club manager. but he's indicated to me that he'd like to retire about a year from now. It is therefore critical that our first order of business be to execute on a management succession plan. In a few minutes, I'll ask the board to support the creation of an ad hoc management succession committee to get that effort underway early in the club year. I'm already fortunate to have been able to recruit a few past presidents and the president-elect to join that committee and share their good counsel. So we'll look forward to moving on that very quickly. Secondly, I'll work with the board and our general counsel, Bob Kraft, to transition the Wings Club to a more tax-advantaged platform for the purpose of fostering and promoting long-term financial support. Thanks to all of you and the good work of our past presidents and our committed board, your club is in very sound financial position. But as we've witnessed, unforeseen events can change things in a hurry, and we need to prudently prepare. A structural change will allow us to do that and more. There are many things that make the Wings Club unique, but three in particular are fundamental to the organization and are sources of great pride. A direct, continuous connection to our aviation heritage, as witnessed here tonight. Our commitment to aviation scholarship and our commitment to aviation humanitarian outreach. I'm hoping those three things will be focal points for giving, not only to continue to support our efforts in those specific areas, but also to provide additional direct support for the club in times of need. Part and parcel of that restructuring effort is to reconstitute a development committee. Dave Barger has agreed to chair an ad hoc development committee, to get those long-term giving efforts underway. I've not many people as passionate about development as Dave Barger, so I'm absolutely thrilled for his continued leadership and involvement in that area. Dave, thank you. Lastly, because I know I'm the guy now standing in front of the drinks, I'm quite sure that most in the audience recognize the famed 94th Squadron's hat in the ring insignia on the SPAD in front of you, and I think you all recognize that as a SPAD. I'm equally as sure that you recognize the pilot to the left of the cockpit as its then commander, Captain Eddie Rickenbacker, one of America's most famous combat aces. Here's something you might not know. He was a participating honorary member of the Wings Club. Reed Chambers, also an ace, is to the right of the cockpit and was the squadron's next commander. More interestingly for us tonight, he was the Wings Club's fourth president. Ladies and gentlemen, the club has published two works of its history documenting our beginnings in 1942 through its first 50 years as an organization. They capture our wonderful connection to aviation leaders of the day like Rickenbacker and Chambers, pictured here. Also Casey Jones, Doolittle, Fred Smith, Bob Crandall, and beyond. More importantly, our published history captures our aviation issues that had the members talking at the Wings Club. It's time to bring our story up to date from its last installment in 1992 and capture our living history while we still have access to it. In 6 short years, we'll celebrate our 75th anniversary. And with the board's kind approval, I'll ask Ken Gazzola and the Historical and Education Committee he chairs to begin working updating our unique history and making our remarkable aviation heritage more accessible to you, our members. I'll also ask that he and his committee begin an effort to ensure the club will be in a position to publish the third 25 years when the time comes. Ken, thank you in advance for your work there. Well, that's about it for the agenda, so it's time to ask, as Jeff had to do, is there any old business? No old business? Great. Then as to new business, if you would permit me to announce and request board approval of the committee chairs for 2011 and 2012. Committees are Awards, Barry Eccleston; Development Ad Hoc, Dave Barger; European Chapter, Greg Thomas; Executive, Dave McKay; Finance, Tom Fitzsimmons; Governance, Bruce Whitman; Historical and Education, Ken Gazzola; House, Bruce Whitman; Management Succession Ad Hoc, Dave McKay; Membership, Kevin McAllister; and Program, Marlon Daly. May I have a motion to approve that slate, please? Seconded? Then the chairs are approved. Thank you very much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm definitely, as Jeff did, invite you to stay for the open house reception, which follows immediately after this meeting. But before we adjourn, I'd like to say a very special thanks to our General Manager, Harris Herman, Club Administrator, Lee McDougall, there she is back there, and Candace Adams-Kimmel and Marie Rose of Adams Unlimited for creating such a wonderful evening tonight, and certainly thanks to our long-term partner here at the Yale Club. I'd like to remind everyone of tomorrow's luncheon at the Yale Club featuring Giovanni Bizignani, and I've been working for a week on that name. Obviously, you know the Director General and CEO of IATA. And also the next annual meeting will be held at the Wings Club March 28th, 2012. And if I were a betting person, I'd be betting it would be right here. So on that note, I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting. Seconded? We're adjourned, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.